What's happening, guys? My name is OTG and welcome to Davilo's Journey Week. We are here on day number 2. We're at Germany for the German Grand Prix, Nürburgring. We qualified in 8th. Now this is probably, I have two least favourite tracks, and that is Hungary and the Nürburgring. I can't do either of them. I can do Hockenheim very well. I'm fine with Hockenheim. I enjoy Hockenheim. Nürburgring, it just doesn't suit my driving style. I like to go aggressive into the turns, which is why Canada, Australia, they suit me because it's just I like to be aggressive into the corners, and I'm actually, oddly enough, a very good defender because of that fact. But we are here. You've seen the setup there. Sergio qualified in 8th after it was an interesting qualifying because it was a little bit wet, so Sergio's on a wet setup for this race, so it was a little bit damp and Sergio wanted to, well, what happened was in practice I used a wet setup because it was completely wet, and I completely forgot to change it for qualifying, and we got a wet setup on for qualifying, so we're down in 8th place. It's a little bit uncharacteristic, but, you know, life goes on. He has to fight his way through this and prove his worth, and we're down in 8th. We're behind we're in front of Button and behind Nico Hulkenberg. You see Massa and Kimi Räikkönen there in 5th position. We are underway and we're just going to go into rear brake, I believe. We go into rear brakes now because that's what you need in this track, I find. And even though, you know, I'm terrible at this race, it doesn't really matter. We're going into the first corner. We just go up the inside and we just squeeze 3 drivers. I think it was Alonso, Webber and Vettel, but then you can see on the outside Massa going for a move. But it's a Mercedes 1-2 for the 3rd race running at the moment. So yeah, that's really nice. Unless of course we can catch Hamilton, but we go a little bit wide there. And I think Hamilton's going to walk with this because it looks like we're going to have to do one of the classic Sergio Davilo trains. One of the trains that have met, well, world famous with Jules Bianchi, but now he has to take over the reins. But on lap 4, Sergio decides, you know what, they're going to be going for an option prime. I'm going to try and just counteract that and go for an option prime run. It's how it's going to have to be. These option tyres are already dead, and you can see he's actually got a bit of a gap to the rest of the cars. So if he can keep his tyres at a stable level, he can most certainly go ahead and get a decent result here. But, you know, Sergio's just a talented driver. It might be his least favourite track, and every driver has a least favourite track. That's something I'd love to see in the game. Like maybe implement the drivers, like their styles certain to each track, instead of having one driver who's just good at everywhere, because not every driver is good at every track. And we come out, and he comes out in 15th place, but he goes up the inside of the Williams of Pastor Maldonado and gets the move neatly down, and he's up into 14th position. So that's actually a really good thing for him because he doesn't want to be stuck behind too many cars. Now, later on lap 5, he comes through I think it's the Schumacher S's. I'm probably completely incorrect. I don't think it is. If it is, then I'm over the moon that I got that right. But we go through whatever they're called. I think it's the Schumacher S's from my knowledge. I'm not the biggest nerd of the Nürburgring. But we get past Bottas after he makes a mistake, and now we go past Soto with the aid of DRS and a minor bit of curves, and we get through the chicane and a little bit on the curb, but overall very nice clean run through there, and we're up into 12th position. Now lap 6, a lap later, we're caught up to the rest of the pack of Gutierrez, and there's Vettel ahead, so he's stuck in traffic. So our rival in the championship is actually stuck down there, which is really, really helpful for us, and we use a little drizzling of curves, but DRS is the main feature, and we just breeze past the Mexican and the Sauber. Not as a superior car, especially in this season of Formula 1. This is in real life, obviously, but we're in 2015 in this, so in the next year, which is going to be a carry-on from F1 2013 to 14, the episodes will continue. So Davilo's Journey will transfer to F1 2014, and it will be the season 4 of Davilo's Journey, and it will be season 1 on that game, and we're probably going to have to go to a lower team. We're more than likely looking at probably going back to Lotus or something, but you guys will get choices. We get past Vettel there after there's a little collision with the Brit, the Scotsman of Paul di Resta, and we're up into 10th position, so even if we have to pit again, we're in the points. After a lap later, people have pitted, and there's Daniel Ricciardo, as some people call him. I prefer Daniel Ricciardo. Sergio gets on the curb, goes flying, but it doesn't matter because Daniel Ricciardo's going into the pits. If anything, that's really caused less bother because Sergio probably would have got a very aggressive line out of that turn and just gone straight into the rear end to cause an issue. But we're now on lap 10, and Mark Webber's ahead of us. We've got 2 temps to him. It's 8 temps to Jenson Button. Sergio now braking, and Mark Webber going very, very slow through this, and Sergio couldn't slow down the car enough. He already committed, expecting Webber to take a decent line through there, but Mark Webber getting a little bit of contact there. Sergio making contact, and Webber on the option tyres. Sergio on the primes. Mark Webber just comes across and hits forcing Sergio to hit his side pod. It's a three-way battle. We've got the Red Bull of Webber, Sergio Davilo, who's looking to go past now and put himself back up into 2nd position. Webber breaks a little bit later, but Sergio gets the inside line. He'll be looking for the undercut, but he can't get it done. And there is Sergio Davilo up into 2nd position with Webber 3rd, and Jenson Button in 4th position once again. The McLaren's having a poor season up till Silverstone, and now, thanks to Jenson, they are really proving their worth. As Sergio gets a little bit of understeer for that turn now. Coming through on lap 13, Sergio cutting the curb there, to get into the pit lane and decides, you know what, it's time for the pits, and here we go. Into the pit lane, there's a few cars, you can see on the minimap, Lewis Hamilton has just teared ahead of everyone else, and he's definitely looking at a race victory here. Now, entering into the pits, another set of prime tyres on the white wall, medium compound tyres, yeah, the medium compound tyres, and Sergio at the moment is down in 10th position, but there goes Gutierrez, followed by, I think, Sergio Perez. There's Sergio Perez. So Sergio down in 13th, behind the ahead of the Lotus, behind McLaren and the Sauber of Gutierrez. And it's two Mexicans, so the Mexicans is a South American brawl. And this, of course, you class Mexico as a North American country. I always personally thought they were South American, but turns out, according to the World Cup FIFA, they're actually North American. But that's a preference. I always thought they were South American due to the Hispanic references. I don't know if there's any Mexicans out there or Mexican subscribers, please clear that out for me. But we come out on lap 15, Jenson Button exits the pits, and we crucially come out ahead of him because obviously we was in a bit of a battle with him. He was behind us going into the pits. Now we rejoin lap 20 and Fernando Alonso's all over the rear. It's a remake of Silverstone, obviously less rain and a bit less pace from Sergio. As you can see, he's got massive understeering, can't hit the apex of that corner, which crucially gives Fernando Alonso a better run out of that corner, but Sergio saved his curves up as Lewis Hamilton sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Sergio goes a little bit wide onto the grass, and that actually brings the Lotus into play. He brakes later and he completely locks up his tyres there. He couldn't slow it down, he cuts the corner. I don't really think he gained much of an advantage, but he does pick up a penalty from Fernando Alonso now. Sergio now deciding, you know what, it's time to come into the pits. He's going to make these tyres last around 9 laps to the end. He can definitely do it, but it might be a stretch. It will be definitely, unless of course the tyres are very poor. But he gets a penalty for that thing with Fernando Alonso. He did force him off the track. I don't think he'll have many complaints. His front tyres did lock up. He didn't have much of a choice. He would have given the position back, but he went into the pits, and I'm not sure whether or not he's gained much of an advantage from that. But the stewards aren't going to look into it. You can't appeal on this game, which I think would be a nice feature, appealing. And you can see out of the pit lane a bit of a lock up as well. So Sergio struggling a lot on these tyres, and he's just not seeming to have the same sort of pace he had in previous races at Canada and Silverstone, as we had already seen. But we're coming through now. That might be the Schumacher S's. I'm not sure. Is that the Schumacher S's? One of them is. They're very S-shaped. We're going to call them the S's. These are the Sergio S's, and we're coming through the Sergio S's now, and going down into lean fuel mist, going to save sun, and you see now they want us to pit again, but Sergio's going to hold it out, and he just a little bit of an issue there from behind with Fernando Alonso hitting off Sebastian Vettel, which is very strange. Going into this turn, going into the final chicane now, and Sergio comes across massively. He actually defends it very nicely and neatly, and you can see on the minimap, Kimi Raikkonen got past during the pit stages, but look on the minimap, Lewis Hamilton has almost completed the second sector by the time they're coming across the final lap now. On lap 25, once again Sergio coming across and just doing what he does best, and there we are, back up. And they want him to pit, which is kind of strange. I never really understood why the game does this. Has anyone ever had the glitch where you don't want to pit? It's like you're doing a different strategy, but because the game still wants you to pit and it hasn't acknowledged it. And there, Jenson Button, I'll come back to that in a second, but Jenson Button having some form of issue, must have got caught on the white line or something. I looked on a replay, I couldn't get a clear view. He must have come across or something, and we're going to get another look at it now. Here comes Sergio, and it's just, I don't know what happens. He doesn't turn in on Jenson. I don't know what has happened. It's a little bit strange, but in all honesty, Sergio doesn't really have much he can do there. As you can see on lap 28, he's struggling on these tyres. He runs onto the grass. He's got massive understeer. He's struggling with the car, and there goes Fernando Alonso. A little bit of argy-bargy, but Fernando Alonso gets past with a DRS. Sergio now, if he's wise, will not try and brake late into this corner. He'll do it, but he's broke late. He's got poor tyres. He's locked up. He cannot slow the car down. He couldn't take evasive action. He didn't. His reflexes weren't quick enough, and Sergio Davilo has taken out Fernando Alonso, and that will inevitably end up in another penalty for the Brazilian, and it does in fact end up on one. Lap 29 now, another lock up into turn 1. He can't hit the apex. As you can see, he's struggling like mad on these tyres. Hulkenberg's the next victim of his outbreak. You can see going into the hairpin, I believe. I don't know. I think this is a hairpin. He gets a little bit wide, and Sergio Perez, Checo, and Mark Webber move up into 3rd and 4th position. Now Kimi Raikkonen setting the fastest lap going into lap 29, and there's a few cars ahead of him. That was Perez and Webber, and Sergio has spun around, and that has just ruined the gap he had to the cars behind. He got 20 seconds now, and I'm doubtful when you can see Lewis Hamilton could be on the verge of lapping his teammate. So maybe it would have been a smarter move just to pit and let his teammate lap him. But coming through now into the first corner on lap 30, Sergio is struggling. You can see he's got massive wheel spin. He can't control the car. He can't contain it. And Adrian Suttil's not helping out. That's not helpful. He's come across. Sergio's a little bit wrong-footed, and now he's spun and he's on the grass, and this is not a race that he'll be wanting to remember anytime soon. After a little bit of an incident, the tyres couldn't last, he couldn't save them, he pitted too early, and in general it's kind of ruined his Grand Prix. The 2-stop on 2 primes has not worked for him, but the AI seem to always have perfect tyres. Has anyone else noticed that? But on coming through the final chicane now, Sebastian Vettel ends the race with the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, and Sergio Davilo in 14th position looks to be coming home in a solid 14th from what we can tell. And you can see, just using a drizzling occurs, he can't get any pace. The wheel spin is horrific. It's a 2 minute time. I think it was exactly 2 minutes, and it's a 1:14 for Sergio Davilo and Lewis Hamilton. That is horrific for Sergio. The strategy didn't work. The team should have informed him it wasn't the wise choice. They didn't give him support, and Sergio finishes down in 14th position with Sebastian Vettel with a 10-second time penalty as well. But guys, I hope you have enjoyed this. This only changes the Drivers' Championships by actually bringing in Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton into play. What you're going to see now are the Drivers' Championships. Look at that. They're separated by 2 points. It's a 97, 96 and 95. It's definitely all 5 of them guys will be wanting the Drivers' Championship this year, but constructors wise you can see it's Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari at the moment, and it looks to be a scrap between the Saubers, McLarens and Lotuses. So you guys, I hope you have enjoyed. If you have enjoyed, smash that like button, subscribe for more, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.